Hey Livingstone, by the time we meet again for worship this Sunday, June the 7th, it will have been 12 Sundays since we met here for worship on our church property. I'm excited and looking forward to seeing many of you this Sunday, and I want to take a moment and share some basic precautions that we'll be taking as we meet together again for worship. Before I get into specifics, I just want to remind you of something I said in my message, one of my messages a few weeks ago, and that is that I know that not all of us are going to be ready to return to worship together at the same time, and that's okay. If you've already been venturing out in public and running your errands and eating at restaurants and that kind of thing, I hope that you'll join us this Sunday. If you've been a lot more cautious about that and aren't ready to get out yet, we totally understand that. And we're going to have our service available on Facebook Live. You can just go to facebook.com/LSBC Portageville, and you can tune in and watch the service at 10 a.m. on Sunday. If you've been exposed to the virus, or you have a temperature of 100.4 or greater, or just feeling unwell, we just encourage you to stay home and just take that extra precaution until you feel better. When you arrive at church on Sunday, we're going to ask that you enter through the double doors here out front and leave the spaces closest to the walkway in the parking lot for some of our older members, if you don't mind. As you come into the building, when you enter the foyer, you're going to notice a couple of tables. This first table has two things on it. One is a disposable mask, should you prefer to use one. These aren't required, but the CDC does recommend them for gatherings like this, and so we want to make those available to you if you want one. The second is a little cup that we're going to use when we partake of the Lord's Supper together this Sunday, and we would ask that you go ahead and take one of these as you enter for worship. The second table has some resources for our children during worship. There are coloring sheets and crayons for our preschoolers, and kids' worship notes and little pencils for our elementary age children to help them stay more engaged with our service. And feel free to just take what you need and take those things home with you. When you enter the sanctuary, you're going to notice that every other row of seats has been blocked off, and that just kind of helps us to preserve those social distancing recommendations. And we ask that you sit with members of your own family and skip at least 3 seats on the row between someone of a different household. And so we would ask that you, as you enter the row that you're sitting on, sit toward as far on the end of the row as you can to leave more room at the other end for someone else. And I know that many of you enjoy visiting and talking with one another after the service is over, and that's a great thing. It's part of a healthy church fellowship. We're going to ask for now that you do that outside. Don't linger here in the room. The recommendation is that outdoors tends to be a little bit less risk about the possibility of spreading any germs or disease. And so when the service is over, we're going to dismiss in an orderly fashion and encourage you to have those fellowship conversations outside. I know that this has and continues to be a challenging, just unusual time for all of us. And I appreciate the way you all have been flexible and adaptive and supportive of our church over these past few months. And I know that you'll adapt to the changes that reopening is going to bring for a season. And hopefully it's just that, for a season. But if you're comfortable worshiping with us this Sunday, I hope that you'll join us, and I look forward to seeing you then. God bless.